that's new that didn't join us on our first webinar today. So welcome to all of you. For those of you who are joining again, great to see you back. But for the just for the others that hasn't heard about Peter and who he is, I would still want to formally introduce him, as there are now a lot of people that have joined us for this today's webinar on exam writing protocols. So Peter is a corporate consultant at SRK, and he's been involved in engineering and rock stability for the past 30 years. Some of the projects that he was doing in engineering geology and slope rock stability aspects, mainly for open pits. Projects and activities include open pit slope design for large copper mines in Zambia and Zaire, diamond mines in Lesotho, Botswana, and South Africa. He's been involved in slope design studies at for uranium, open pit gold mines in Ghana, Mali, and Guinea, and the iron ore mines at Sishen and Tabazimbi. He's conducted feasibility studies and slope designs for conventional pits and strip mining operations, design of remedial measures, supervision, and installation of rock reinforcement and open pit mining operations in order to maintain access in critical areas, as well as a number of civil engineering projects comprising rail and road cuttings, rock mass classification studies, tunnel support assessments, and quality control of tunneling operations. That's a mouthful, but Peter, thank you once again for helping us out with the exam protocols. It's actually something that Peter asked us to do because he is very passionate to make sure that the guys really know what exam writing protocols are. But I won't take any of his webinar away from him, so I'm going to hand over at this point to you, Peter. But thank you once again for this effort and hosting us today as Sanire. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Giselle. Thank you very much. I'll put my thing on for a while there. Thanks everybody for attending this webinar this afternoon. I hope you, if you were in the previous one, I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you got something out of it. And again, I just reiterate that with the exam on, I think your exam's on 7 October, you've got about 8 or 9 days between now and then. And it would be a good idea to, I would suggest that you run through the previous webinar and just, if you can just take in the points that we spoke about during that webinar, I think you'll find that it will help you a lot in your exams. The reason for wanting to talk about exam protocols, and it's something I've been the moderator on the paper 3-4 for quite a long time now. I became the moderator when Des Mossop was setting the papers, and that was about 5 or 6 years worth of doing that. And then Anton Gregory, in fact, I was even doing it before then when Glenn McGavigan from ISCOR at that time, now Anglo, was doing it. I was the moderator then. Also, when Marnus Bester was setting the papers, I was moderator then, and recently Anton Gregory is now the new examiner. Then I'm the moderator still. But what has really prompted my proposal to give this talk was really the poor marks that come out of those exams. And besides the poor marks is candidates only are answering maybe as little as 2 questions. I mean, you know, if you can ask 2 questions, it's normally there's 20 to 25 marks for a question. 2 questions at best are going to get you 15 to maybe 30 marks. That's all, and that's halfway where you need to be. So that was one thing. The other thing was that I myself was a very nervous, always have been a nervous exam writer, and I also went to the Tel University to do geology and chemistry as a mature student. I'd spent a year in the Air Force gym, and then I'd worked at Vereniging Factories in Vereniging. They had a learner official scheme there, and I was there for 3 years and decided that I ended up in what was like the mining department, and I quite liked doing the geology that I was doing there, and took myself off to university. So I was a mature student when I got to university. I really worked hard. I gave myself, and I kept a graph of, I had to work outside of lectures and pracs. I did another 4 hours a day, and if I fell below that graph, then I had to work extra hours that night or the weekend or whatever it was to catch up. Came the June exams, and I thought I'd done really well, and I'd done absolutely pathetically. My geology was okay because I've been working in geology and I knew a bit about geology, so it was fine. I think I got 60%. The maths, while I was working in those 3 years after the Air Force gym, I did take myself to night school and I did maths and physics. The physics didn't go that well, but the maths actually helped me when I got to varsity. But I was always a panicky writer. So apart from being, so I had to then write supplementary exams in September, the DP exams, duly performed exams, to be able to write the final exams. So when I got back after the June vac and I saw how poor my marks were in physics and chemistry largely, I took myself off to the profs, and they said, they were very good to me actually, and they said, they pulled out my papers, the exam papers, they went through them with me, and they both said separately that I didn't understand what I was doing. And that's a big thing. You have to understand what you're doing. And they said, the words they used, you're probably doing what you did when you wrote matric. And at matric level, it's okay. You can repeat parrot style what you've picked up through the year, no problem, and you will pass. But at university, it's different. So that's really, that was really the motivation for wanting to give this little talk. And I just want to go, and then I then had to go out and work for another year because the company I was with wanted me to pick some claims and do some prospecting for them, because the licenses for those claims would expire at the end of 1969, which I did. And then I managed to get into WITS for 1970, and I did my honours in exploration geology there. And then I joined Hawkins and Osborne in Johannesburg. I worked for them for 3 years, and then I went to Imperial College in London to do my MSc in engineering geology. At that stage, there were no engineering courses in South Africa, so it was either the US or England, and that's where I went to the UK. Right. So let me get on to this. What I want to talk about now. I unfortunately I haven't prepared. I started preparing my presentation this morning, but something went wrong with my PowerPoint thing, so I'm just going to talk. I hope you don't mind. But I'll just say, if you do have a pencil or pen and something to write on available, it might be a good idea just to make some notes. I'll try not to talk too quickly, and I'll give you time. If you think I am going a bit quickly, please just put up your hand and just tell me, and then I'll slow down a bit. Right, the exams. Sorry, and I suspect that a number of you, and I can see we've got 46 plus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we've got 56 odd people that are on this webinar at the moment. And I suspect that if you are writing exams, the paper 3-4 exam now in particular, and the others, that you might also be, for want of a better word, mature students. Probably a long time since you might have written an exam. So I think the points that I'm going to raise now may well help you as well. Okay, firstly, the exams normally they're normally 3 hours long, and you're often given 5 questions, and you might be told to answer 4. But let's work on the 5-question paper. So 3 hours is 180 minutes. Okay. So when the invigilator says right, turn over, he hands out the paper upside down, and then he'll say at whatever the time is, 9 o'clock, or if it's afternoon, it's probably 2 o'clock. He'll say turn over. They turn over your paper. Now I want you, as soon as you do that, go to the left-hand page of your book, your exam book. And this is how I would suggest that you break your 180 minutes up. And this, when I did my MSc, there were 12 in our class, and about 4 or 5 of the students were English who had come straight through from their BScs onto the MSc course. But the rest of us, 6 or 7 of us, we were older people. We'd been around for a bit, and the prof had us all in to a tutorial one afternoon as the exams were approaching, and he gave us this sort of layout. So I would suggest that you need to read all your questions carefully first. That's the first thing you need to do. And decide, while you're reading those questions, decide on what order you want to answer them in, okay? And that you can allow yourself 10 minutes for that, okay? And be very strict about these times that I'm going to give you, because you don't want to run over your little time slot. So make a note. So if you're going to start at 12, right there, 12 o'clock start, 12:10, 12:10, I've now decided what I'm going to do, okay? Now, once you start your answers, use that left-hand page of your exam book. And let's say you decide to answer question 2 first. You can take 5 minutes just to run through the question again, and in your mind, on that left-hand page, just write down a number of bullet points. And if you can come up with 7 or 8 bullet points, I'll guarantee that if you write about those 7 or 8 bullet points, you're going to get probably, my guess is, plus or minus 15 marks. Okay, so you're well on your way. Okay. So I said you use the left-hand page to bullet point your thoughts. That's all you need to do. Now you can start writing. Okay. And with this time, I've come up at the end of my little script that I'm reading. I've got here. It totals 185 minutes. So the 5 minutes are neither here nor there. Actually, give yourself, with this what I've sketched out here, you can give yourself 30 minutes to answer the question. At the end of 30 minutes, don't go any further. Stop that question there. If you're going to write for another 5 or 10 minutes, and let's say you've got 15 marks for the first 30 minutes that you've written, if you're going to write for the next 5 or 10 minutes, I would suggest that you're not going to get more than 1 or 2 marks. So stop right there. If you've got some time at the end and you want to go back and add, that's fine. But if it's going according to the plan, write for 30 minutes, stop, go to the next question. Same procedure. Use the left-hand side of your book to bullet point your answers, your thoughts, and you've got another 5 minutes for that. Okay, and then another 30 minutes. Again, don't go beyond your 30 minutes of writing. The same points I've just mentioned will apply. You're not going to get very many marks writing beyond 30 minutes. You might get 1 or 2. So at best, you might have got 3 or 4 marks for extra writing, but you would have lost 20 minutes, probably. And that's almost a question gone. Okay, so let's do, and then 3 and 4 and 5. Each for 5 minutes to bullet point your thinking, where you want to go. Structure your answer as best you can in that 5 minutes, then go for it. Okay, so in summary, we've got 10 minutes to read the paper, no problem, and decide on the order of answering. Okay, no problem. And if anybody has a question or feels uncomfortable with what I'm suggesting to you, please raise your hand and you can express your concern or comment. No problem with that. We've got time. It's not going to take too long. Okay, so 10 minutes to read the paper and decide on the order of answering the questions. 5 minutes per question to bullet point your thoughts on how you're going to attack it. 30 minutes per question, and I've printed here, do not overrun your 30 minutes. Okay, you're not going to score many points if you go beyond 30 minutes of writing. Let me see, 10 minutes to read paper and decide order. Oh, that's right, 10 minutes to read, that's never done here, to read and decide the order. That's 10 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes, that's right. That's right, 10 minutes to read that, that's right. Then if it's 5-question paper, 5 minutes each, 5 times 5 by 5 is 25. So that's 10, 25. And then writing the paper, writing the answers, that's 30 minutes. The paper, that's 150. So you've got 10, each question, 5 by 5 is 25. 150 for writing. That is 5, 2, 4, 5. 155 minutes. Am I right? 10 minutes to read the paper. That's correct. 5 questions, say 5 fives at 5 minutes each, 5 fives at 25. That's correct. 30 minutes times 5, that's 150. 50, 5, 7, 8. I'm sorry. I knew I made a mistake. It's 185. That's it. That's 185 minutes. So, and I'm not too worried about the 5 minutes being over the 180. That's 10 to read the paper and decide on your order. 25 for 5 minutes before you start writing each question, just to start thinking about it and how you're going to do it. That gives you 25 marks. And then 30 minutes per question is 130 times 5 is 150. 150 plus 10, that's 160. Plus 25, it's 185 minutes. So there you go, QED. Quite easily done. Perhaps, so that's it. Are there any questions that you guys would like to ask at all? If not, perhaps I can just tell you a little story that I always find amusing. There's a Welsh comedian called Max Boyce, and he's famous for his rugby stories, but very amusing. But he tells about going into the exam, and when you come out of the exam, because he says, you know, there are always buffs in the class. So all the buffs get together amongst themselves. They all know who's the cleverest and who's the bloody slowest. And they all want to know, they say, Lizelle, I'll try his Welsh accent. I'll say, Lizelle, what did you get for answer number 2? And Lizelle says she got whatever she got. And Ian, what do you get for number 1? Ian says he got for his number 1, blah, blah, blah. So it goes. They go through the whole class. And they say to Max, what did you get? What did you get for the diameter of your copper pipe? He says, no, he's not saying. Anyway, they go on more and more. And eventually he's the last one who hasn't said what he got for the diameter of his copper pipe. Because Lizelle got 5 millimeters and John got 10 millimeters and so someone else got something close. Anyway, they break Max down and said, come on, Max, you've got to tell us what you got for the diameter of your copper pipe. He says, okay. He says, the diameter of my copper pipe was 45 miles. So good luck for your exams. Anyway.
Peter, that's funny. There is a question in the comment box. I can read it out to you.
Please.
So the question is, when responding to questions,
Yes.
let's say, for example, a definition,
Yes.
is it advisable to use your own words or to write it as it is in the textbook?
If you can remember exactly what it says in the textbook, do it. But your own words are good enough, as long as you understand what you're saying. That's all. But if you can recall exactly what it says, do exactly what it says in the textbook. Otherwise, use your own words, and that will get you the same marks as what comes out the textbook. Of that, I'm sure. Yeah. And Lizelle, that was pretty much it, actually. And just go into that exam relaxed. There's no point in working all through the night on the night before the exam, because you're going to wake up, whatever sleep you do get, you're going to wake up tired and you're going to be stressed out. So do your preparation. Maybe use that last day, stroke evening, to go through what you think is important. And yeah, just use it as a little bit of a refresher, because I guess the paper will start at 9 o'clock. I think they normally run from 9 to 12, if I'm not mistaken, as best I can remember. But yeah, and don't just arrive wherever you're writing relaxed, and just be cool. It's not the end of the world. I think the paper is very fair. And enjoy yourselves. Write down what you can. And I'm sure that if you're working on operations, and I'm sure most of you are, then you're a long way to doing well anyway, because you will have seen things. You will have seen the geology model. You will have seen the structural model. You would know about the monitoring. You would know about the drilling and blasting. You would know about all of those things. So I think there's no need for you to stress. I think you can arrive there comfortably. And I'm not sure how many are writing the paper 3-4. I think there are 10 or 12. Might be mistaken, but I look forward to seeing your papers, and I look forward to seeing you all doing well. So on that note, I wish you all the best. If there's anything you people would like to know, if you're writing paper 3-4, again, I said it when we were wrapping up the previous webinar, please feel free to phone Des Mossop or myself. My mobile number is 082 600 5542. And if I can help you, it will be a pleasure. I will do so happily, no problem at all. And don't feel awkward about phoning. I mean, these are important times that you're going through now. We've been through them, and if we can be of any help, we want to be of help to you. If 10 of you are writing, I want to see 10 of you passing, and that's what would give me great happiness. That really would, and it makes for a much more what's the word I'm looking for? A much more effective rock engineering manager on an open pit operation. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And it'll give you, if you pass well in exams, it'll give you a lot of confidence going forward as well.
Peter, there are some more comments and questions coming in.
Yeah.
There are 2 questions or comments related to the previous exams where some of the information sheets or the graphs were not available.
Yes,
but I
correct.
think those questions are not really for you. It's more for the organizers of the exams. So maybe if I can answer to that specific, we will do our best to try and make sure that those things do not happen. It was unfortunate, but yes, we will definitely try our best to have the next exam or this coming exam. Everything should be in those packs, and hopefully if anything is not there, that we can pick it up quick enough to sort it out.
Exactly. In the paper that the examiner sent me, everything was there that is needed. There are some attachments, but it's all there. So every question can be answered without having to get stuff into you at a late hour.
Okay. And then there's a question, is it better to keep answers short and to the point rather than adding a whole lot of theory to back up the answer or your answer? Or should you always back up your answer using theory?
For me on that one, Lizelle, I think the time that you got, your 30 minutes to answer the question, is the key point. And I wouldn't, let's say you've written as much as you can in 20 minutes. I would bank that 10 minutes and I would go to my next question and give yourself the 30 minutes. If you write for 20 minutes, you now bank 20 minutes. And then you can come back. So if you continue at that rate, you're likely to finish the exam a little bit earlier than the 180 odd minutes. And then you can go back and you can add. So perhaps leave, if you think you can add more, maybe leave yourself some space. If it means leaving an empty page, leave the empty page, and just at the bottom of your previous page, just put there, what do you say? Just write to be continued. To be continued. Just write at the bottom so the examiner knows that there's still more to mark. And it might come, it might not come. So if you cruise through the rest of it and you've got 20 minutes at the end, go back and add to your question. So give them as much as you can, and the examiner will decide what's relevant and not relevant. So use the time as best you can. So fill up the 30 minutes if you can. Otherwise, stop where you feel you've said enough, and come back at the end, read through what you've said. If anything else, because what happens, you'll often find that things come to mind while you're answering subsequent questions. So maybe a question or two down the line, oh, bloody hell, I should have said that. But finish what you're doing first, that question, come back and sort it out. Right, add what you want to add. So I would do that.
Okay, there was one candidate that was a bit concerned about if a person who is horrible at drawing, how can one get around those anointed pictures?
You don't have to worry about being horrible. Draw as best you can. And again, the examiner will he will decide how much he likes your picture or doesn't like your picture. But just do it carefully. If you want to draw straight lines, have a little set square or a 6-inch ruler or something you can draw straight lines with. It's always nice for the examiners. For classes of 10 or 12 people, or exams of 10 or 12 people, it's not a big deal. But when you've got 30 or 40 people and they're all doing horrible little sketches, after number 25, maybe you should get 10 marks, but maybe you only give him 2 because you've had enough of horrible little sketches. But just draw it as carefully you can. I say if you can do straight lines, use a little set square or a protractor, the straight edge of the protractor or whatever. It helps. It certainly makes things neater and easier to read for whoever's marking it.
Peter, there's another question.
Yes.
How do calculations questions get marked? If you give the correct answer to the questions, but not show all calculations, will you get the marks?
Yes. That's a good question. I needed to do a computer exam to make up my credits for my BSc, and out of a big 300-person computer class, which took place on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which was rugby practice night from 5 to 7, which was rugby practice time, I didn't attend many classes. And I had 2 or 3 of my colleagues, they'd give me their notes and I would work on that. I was only about 40 people passed that paper. I got a SUP. I was the only one who got a SUP. And to my relief, the prof gave me the same paper that we got in the final exam. And that was the only thing I knew about computer science at that stage. Anyway, I rattled my way through that paper. I finished, it was a 3-hour paper. I finished in about 2 hours, sat there twiddling my thumbs for another hour because I felt, it's really not right to leave the exam because I might think of something that might give me another few marks. Anyway, because it was only me, the prof came to collect the paper. And he opened it, and the first one was a derivation of a formula, which I knew off by heart. And he started running through it. So the first 3 lines are fine. And then I could see that he had a problem. He said, and where does this come from? Now he's on line 4. So I said, well, I'm not sure, but I know it's right. He said, how do you know it's right? I said, because I know it's right, Prof. He said, but you don't understand how to get from that line to that line. I said, yeah, I don't quite remember it. I know that line's right. Anyway, he went through it line by line, word for word with that bloody paper. And he said to me, what are you going to do once you graduated, if you graduate? I said, I'm going to be a geologist. And that was in 1968, when the computers were not a big deal in geology. So he said to me, I'll pass you on one condition. I said, what's that, Prof? He said, I'll pass you one condition, that you never use a computer in the work that you do. So I said, no, that's fine. And I've stuck by my word. So while I use my computer for emails and writing reports and keeping documents, I don't do much else with it. And I've managed. I've got where I've got to by not fully understanding computer science. And maybe that's why I couldn't work out my presentation for what I was going to give you today. So any more questions? I'm happy. I'm not rushing off anywhere. I can answer. If anyone wants to talk to me, I'm happy to have a chat. No problem at all.
Yeah, there's two questions regarding the memos. The one is more for us, the Sanire, who is not publishing the memorandums on the Sanire website anymore.
Okay.
But there was a question about the memo on the website, so those old memos, and the question was, how reliant are they?
Oh, the memos.
So I don't know if you want to answer that, but yeah, I'll leave it to your wisdom if you have something to give an answer.
I'm not too sure about the memos, to be honest with you. Right, if you send me, can you send me a memo or three, which I could have a look at, and I can comment back to you, Lizelle, and you can maybe put my comment out there.
Yeah, look, it's quite the papers that the memorandums we stopped publishing it. So yes. Yeah, and the question from this one candidate was just how reliant were those memos on the website?
Okay.
Because in most times we follow them, but when the results come back, it's a different story. So that was just the comment.
With you, I'm with you. Oh, I do. Yeah, I do recall those, and I think those happened at the exams earlier this year.
No, those are old ones. Yeah, the last exams we have not published on the website.
No, you're right. No, you're right. There was some confusion around those things. Yeah, I agree with the candidate. There were some issues. It wasn't quite clear.
All right. So yeah. Let me check. Are there any other questions for Peter? I don't see any other hands. I'll just give it a minute or two for one or two more questions if
Super.
Right.
No problem.
Good. Yes, I don't see anything else coming in.
Okay.
I don't see any typing. There is a hand stuck up. It's
I see. I see it. McCordy.
You can. Yes. Yeah. You can yes, you can carry on.
Hi, Uzi, go for it.
No, I think this one is more for Lizelle, as she was talking about the memos not being published. But I just wanted you to address perhaps the question that Tapelo asked in terms of candidates knowing where they went wrong if they're not getting any feedback.
Oh, feedback.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about that. I did the moderating and we sent the papers in, and then the next thing that I was involved with was the examiners and moderators discussion about the results. So that was all, and I don't know what happened after that. And if you had asked for some guidance as to where maybe you had gone wrong, and I'm just saying that, then I think you should have got it. I believe you should have got it.
Thank you.
And then something that I also want to just say is remember that all of the exams gets marked by the examiner who set the exam and a moderator. And all these examiners are skilled and they've got the memos with them. So obviously, because they've set the exams. So it was a council decision not to share the memos on the website, and this is done by all the organizations. It's not a specific to rock engineering only.
Yeah.
So yeah, that has stopped because of several things.
Lizelle,
But Adam did also, just a comment from Adam. He says the mark breakdown on your exam is possible, and you can contact Theo at the Minerals Council for that. So you can ask for that to understand where you've lost your marks.
Okay. And Lizelle, I guess if anybody feels strong enough to want to follow up beyond seeing what marks you got for what questions, I guess there will be a route for them to do that.
Yes, it's through the Minerals Council.
Through the Minerals Council,
so the person there, yes, is Theo at the Minerals Council. We can also just share, Adam, if you don't mind, just sharing his email address on the comments box. And then that's the person to contact, and you can get your marks breakdown that you can understand where you've lost your marks, which areas were the ones that you lost the most marks. Good.
Well,
I don't see any.
We're all going to get 20 out of 20 for every question, so there's going to be no problem here anymore. All quiet. Cindy, what do you think? I'm not saying. Copper pipe was 45 miles.
Right, there was a question, I think it's for me. Is there a reason why we are writing in the afternoon and not in the morning? The Minerals Council is really organizing these exams. So they are, because of the venues and being split and with all the regulations these days, there's several groups that write, some in the morning, some in the afternoon. Remember, the Minerals Council also governs the ventilation tickets, the survey tickets. So there's a number of people that needs to write these exams. It is something I can ask them. I don't have the specific reason, but it is something that they organize, and yeah, I don't have the clear answer. Maybe Adam, if you have some other answer, then you're more than welcome.
Thanks, Lizelle. So I think it's just from a logistical perspective, as you say. But I mean, that's purely based on the Minerals Council arrangements.
Good.
Good. Done.
All right, Peter, thank you so much for
Pleasure.
2 webinars on one day. That's definitely a first for us. Thank you so much for all the efforts and really you coming to us and say, yes, you're passionate about this and you really want to share and to help these candidates. And like you say, you want every single person to pass. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and thanks for giving and giving your wisdom to these candidates. And that's really what they're asking for. And when we did the membership survey, it was really that those things that come out from the surveys that those guys are really looking for help. And thank you for offering it.
No, it's a pleasure. And I think it's a bit late for this exam, but I think going into the next lot, I think we will, between Rob Armstrong, Des, and myself, we have spoken about running a few days to do some lectures ourselves to candidates who are interested in attending something like that. We'll stick to the syllabus, but I think those books, the books that Des showed on that slide, the second slide he put up, everything that we're doing in open pit slope stability stuff now comes out of those 5 books, but particularly the guidelines. That's very important because everything is in there that you need to know. They address things like water and dumps and soft rocks, but not to the extent that the whole books do, because the books have been compiled by people. The guidelines to slope stability was compiled by about 20 people who wrote the different chapters. The soft rock book was written by people who work and live in soft rock countries where pits are, and they've put all their thinking together to do the soft rock books. Dumps by more of a broader base. Groundwater by 3 or 4 experts, Jeff Beale, Lee Atkinson, and 2 or 3 others. And then the monitoring is being done by a number of the surveyors and geotechnical people that work on big operations. So those books will become, I believe, the new format effectively going into next year and going forward with it. And I think having those books available will make life a lot easier for everybody, actually, because they're well defined, they present well, they're well written, and they're easily understandable. And certainly the guidelines for open pit stuff, slope design, everything that you need is in there. And if it's not fully described, there'll be a reference to where you can find it. So that book is well referenced, as they all are actually. They're all well referenced. So it's going to be the new dynamic, for want of a better word.
Okay.
But again, pleasure, Lizelle. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Thank you and Mbali for organising everything for us. It ran smoothly, very smoothly.
Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks all. Thanks all.
Good luck with the exams.
Very, 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 I endorse that. Good luck and be calm, and just take it easy. Be cool when you get there. Don't stress. That's the worst thing you can do. It'll come to you.